Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Sharehost Talks Investing. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the auto invest feature in Trading212 and pies. Fun fact, did you know the ancient Egyptians were the first to invent a dish close to what we know today as pie? They had a honey filling covered in a crusty cake made from oats, wheat, rye, and barley. Okay, I'm not talking about that kind of pie. I'm talking about the pie feature in Trading212. So the pie in Trading212 is a collection of stocks and ETFs. And the main goal of the PIE system is it helps you achieve your financial goals by solving two major investing pain points. The first is it helps you have a diversified portfolio, and it really does help maintain diversification balance in the long term as markets either move up or down. And the second point is it helps you make contributions to your portfolio without you having to make complex calculations in order to allocate the right amount of money to each company you own. The great thing is, with the auto invest feature, you can do both of those automatically. All you need to do is set the desired contribution amount and how frequently you plan on investing, then auto invest will actually do the rest. And now I'm going to guide you through the process of setting up your first PIE and the auto invest feature, as well as some neat little tips and tricks you may not know about. And make sure to watch till the end, because as a bonus, I'm also going to show you the pies I've set up and some really interesting and unique ways I'm using those that may actually provide you inspiration to create your own pies and use them in a different manner than maybe the conventional way. Okay, so the first step is to locate the portfolio button on the screen. So you should see it in the shape of a pie. So once you click on that, you greet with a new screen that has two main tabs, an investments tab and a pies tab. So what you want to do is click on the pies tab, and once you do, you'll see a button that says create a pie. So once you click on create a pie, it actually tells you that you can add instruments, which are basically stocks and ETFs that you'd like to add to that pie. So once you click add instruments, you're greeted with a new screen that shows a whole host of companies that you can invest in. Now you can either invest in stocks or ETFs. So stocks are an individual shares within a single company. An ETF is an exchange traded fund and is basically a type of security that involves a collection of stocks underlying a particular index. An example of this is the S&P 500 ETF, which is basically a collection of 500 different companies under one ETF. Okay, now for the purposes of this tutorial, we'll add in a couple of ETFs and stocks into our pie. So first we'll add Tesla, as well as Apple. And now if you click next, it'll actually show you the 5-year historical market performance of those two instruments you've added. And for these two stocks, the 5-year return has been 25.4% annually. But an important thing to note is past performance is not indicative of future results. So just because for the past 5 years annually it's returned 25.48%, there's no guarantee next year it would return 25.48% or over the next 10 years. Though, however, if a company has been successful in the past and has a long track record, there is good reason to assume that it will also be successful in the future. So now what we can do is we can also click on add slice and continue to add more companies into our pie. So next we'll add in a couple of ETFs. So we'll click on the most popular ETFs. And as mentioned before, we'll include the Vanguard S&P 500. And we'll also include the Vanguard FTSE emerging markets. And we'll include Netflix. Okay, now we've included 5 different instruments within our pie. And now if we click next, you can see again that now it's provided us the average annual return for all of those 5 companies, which has now reduced to 21.52%. And at this point, what we can do is we can name our pie. So we'll name this Test 1. What you can also do is you can also adjust what percentage of the pie you want each particular stock or ETF to make up. So as for example, if I want to weight this more towards the S&P 500, I can increase the level of the S&P 500 ETF within the particular pie. But now as you can see from the bottom, it's 115%. And the sum of all the sliders must amount to 100. So I'll lower my stake in Tesla to 5. Okay, now I'm happy with the ratio of how I want my investment within this pie to be distributed. So now I'll click next. Now, as mentioned previously, you can either use the auto invest feature, or if you prefer, you can do it manually. But I'll show you how to use the auto invest feature, and then later I'll also show you how you can change this if you want to invest manually. So if you click the auto invest feature and then click next, it'll actually give you a value projection based on the previous annual return, dependent on how many years you plan on investing for, the monthly sum you plan on investing, as well as the initial deposit. And as you can see, based on what we've selected, the value projection based on 10-year term, depositing £1,000 monthly with an initial deposit of £1,000 would mean our estimated return after 10 years would be £366,000. And we would have only contributed £120,000 of our own money. And the grey bar in the graph indicates our own contribution. And the blue line, that is indicative of the total combined value of the portfolio. So now what we'll do is we'll actually increase the length of the term we plan on investing. So we'll increase this to 15, and as you increase it, the value projection should automatically adjust based on those sums. And what we'll do is we'll also update the amount we plan on investing each month, and we don't want to put in an initial deposit. And now what you can also do is change the schedule of how often you want this to be deposited, the money. And what you can also do is update how frequently you want to deposit your money and which particular date you want the money to be deposited. So you can choose daily, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, every 2 months, every 6 months. So what we'll choose is we'll just choose weekly, and we'll select Saturday. No, sorry, we'll actually select Monday, the first day of when the stock market opens, and click apply. And we'll reduce our deposit amount to £50 a week and click next. Okay, minimum amount is £50, so £4. So what we'll do is we'll select a £50 initial deposit and click next. So as you can see, now our first pie has been set up, and if you click fund pie, it'll bring up which payment method you want to fund your pie with. So I've already got my debit card set up, but you can use Google Pay, etc. And then once you click next, I'm not going to do this right now because I'm not interested in those particular stocks, but once you click next, it'll take the initial deposit out and it'll create your pie. However, you can actually create your pie without having the initial deposit if you use the manual feature, which I've done in this ETF here. But the test we've created is here. So let's actually go on the test one we've created. So what you can also do is in your pie, you can actually set a goal. So because it says 230,000 is our current projected target, we don't really need to update that because it's already got that goal already set. But if it didn't have a goal, if you're doing it manually, you can actually set that up. And if you want, you can duplicate the pie, you can delete the pie, and you can also personalize the pie. So if you later you want to change the name, and you can change the icon if you want to. If you're, for instance, if you're investing in just real estate investments, you can maybe click the house just to show investing in real estate. Maybe if you're investing in the finance sector, you can click on that and call it finance, etc. But we'll just rename it test 1. and update. And as you can see, it's now updated with the new icon. So you can also see it says dividends here, and it's got the function of auto reinvesting. So what that means is if any of those particular stocks pay dividends, they'll be automatically reinvested to the whole pie. So yeah, Apple pay a 0.70% dividend. So what that would mean is anything we earn from the Apple dividend, it'd be automatically distributed within all of these particular stocks. And also you'll be able to see those within the dividend tab here. And if there wasn't enough to invest, if it didn't meet the minimum charge to invest, it would stay within the dividends tab here in cash. And once there was enough within this folder, it would actually then be distributed evenly amongst the shares and stocks you hold within the pie. So at any point within the pie tab, you can also click on edit the pie and add in additional companies. So I could add in BP as an additional company, click next, and as you can see, BP has been added in. However, we've gone over the threshold again, so we'd have to readjust the percentage within the pie. So let's reduce the shares of Netflix within the pie to 10%, and now we're back to 100%, and we can save that. And there's also a tab here that says rebalance. And what this means is if we've invested individually within these stocks and it's not balanced within the target, so each slice of the pie has a target weight value and actual weight value. So the blue tab, the blue numbers or percentage is what the actual value within the pie is, and target is what we've assigned as how much percentage weight we want of each of the particular stocks within this pie. So if you click rebalance, and we've weighted more towards the Apple, so instead of a target 20%, the actual amount is 25%. That would mean 5% would be sold, so that it would go back down to 20%, and the other way around as well. So if we only had an actual 10%, but the target was 20%, then 10% more would be bought to realign it to 20%, and this would be done evenly to all of these particular stocks. So some would be sold more, some would be some would be bought and some would be sold, just so that all of the stocks were evenly rebalanced, and the weighting was as per the actual, as per the target rather than the actual. And we've already discussed the auto invest, and at any time you like, you can always update the investing plan by clicking the edit icon and then changing the schedule to how often you want to invest and what day, etc. And it's nice to be able to, whenever you want, just look at the value projection and see how behind you are, what you need to achieve that particular goal. So yeah, and this really does make it so that you don't have to keep on top of it as much as you would if you had, 50 stocks. If you had 50 particular investments here, trying to invest in all 50 would be such a nightmare. However, if you had just on the first hand just assign them within a pie and how much of those you wanted to invest in based on the percentage weight, as we've previously discussed, it does make it so much easier, because you can take a hands-off approach and just let it invest automatically with the auto invest feature. So now, as promised, I'll show you guys the pies I've set up in my portfolio. So with these pies, what you can do is you can set these up however you want. It's really based on what particular stocks you want to invest in, or ETFs, which particular sector. So what I've done is, again, this is my portfolio, and what I've done is I've invested based on sectors. So I've invested in the communication sector, energy sector, financial sector, food, beverages, staple sector, the pharma health sector, the retail consumer sector, the technology sector, travel leisure sector, and I've got one here based on speculation. And the great thing is, and what I find really useful for myself is, rather than trying to keep a track of all the particular sectors for each of the companies I've invested in, I've assigned, like for instance, I can just show you in the communication sector, if I click on my holdings, I've invested in a couple of companies within the communication sector, and I can keep a track of how my PIE is doing, what the return is. And the great thing is I can actually keep a track of each particular sector. So what I can see is I can see the energy sector at the moment is doing very well based on, the current performance. So the financial sector, but the pharma health sector seems to not be so great at the moment. But with the news of, the vaccine being 95% effective, the travel leisure centers have taken a really high boost at the moment, and it's on 34.3% the current return. And the technology sector is still doing really well on 21%. So as you can see, it can really help me keep a track of which particular sector is doing well and what particular sector I need to invest in, and it really spreads out my stocks so that they're not really all in one basket. So I can always just invest in whichever particular sector is down at the time, so put more money in and keep a track of my performance in that way. So I mean, I'll probably invest a bit more money into the pharma health sector. So I hope you guys have really enjoyed this tutorial based on stocks and pies, and let me know if you find it useful, if you're currently using it, if you plan on using it, if you got any further questions, happy to answer. And as always, please guys, make sure to support the channel by hitting the like button. It really does help. And please subscribe and leave any comments, and just let me know what you think about my pies. Is this something you'd be interested in setting up? And yeah, love to hear feedback.